Hey guys, it's Writing Wednesday, and I'm going to talk about me, which I guess I always do in a way, but usually try to get it into talking more generally about writing. But I got a bit of nice publicity this week, which is really kind of fun. The local paper does a 20 questions feature on somebody in the community. Could be somebody in the arts, could be somebody in business, whatever. Anyway, because the person doing the feature knew I was a writer, they decided to contact me. So I'll put a link down below if you want to read my 20 questions article. The thing I find with these kind of things, and even when I do an episode of answering your questions here on the vlog, is that you don't always get the questions that you would like to answer. Sometimes there are questions I would like to answer, but nobody ever asks me. So I've decided, in honor of my 20 questions in the St. John's Telegram, to answer not 20 because that'd be too long, but 10 questions nobody's asked me lately. Why do you write? I write because I need to keep the voices in my head quiet. I think I've said that before, but it's true. Why do you write historical fiction specifically? Because I want to time travel and we haven't got the technology worked out, and researching and immersing myself in writing a story set in the past is kind of like a way of going back there. And I hope reading it is for other people too. What do you wish you were better at? I could say a lot of stuff here about the craft of writing or even about being a better human being, all of which is true, but honestly, I wish I looked better in hats. What's your hidden talent? I can hang a spoon on my nose for like a really long time. In college, I once ate a whole meal like this, and when my kids were little, I used to use it to entertain them while we were waiting in restaurants. If you want a huge amount of money, but the caveat was that you had to spend it on something completely frivolous, you couldn't save it, you couldn't give it away or use it to make the world better in any way, what would you do? See, I really want this question because I have all these good and noble things I'd like to do with a lot of money, but also if I want a lot of money and I could be frivolous, I would like to round up a bunch of all the people I love most in the world, friends and family, and pay for them to take a month off work, and then pay to fly them to a bunch of cool exotic places around the world where we just hang out together. That would be fun. For me. I don't know about for them. I hope they'd like it too. If you could go back and relive any day of your life, but you couldn't change anything, you had to live it exactly as it was before, what day would you go back to? I would go back to any one of a number of Saturday nights when I was a young adult, either at college or when I worked in Oshawa, hanging out with friends. I did not have a wild, misspent youth. I had a very tame, well-spent youth, but I kind of missed that just craziness of, hey, let's bum around and what are we going to do on a Saturday night. I especially remember a Saturday night hanging around downtown Toronto with, I think, my friend Jamie, who I would love to hang out with again now, and his cousin Dwayne, and maybe our friend Kathy, who later became Dwayne's wife. Anyway, I remember a bunch of us kicking around downtown Toronto on a Saturday night, doing nothing. I think eventually we went out to eat and I tried to order a banana from a restaurant and that didn't go down well, but I would love to relive one of those Saturday nights of being young and carefree with no particular agenda. Which is your favorite character of all the characters you've ever written about? I have two favorite characters that I've ever written about. Both male characters, both sort of love interests in their stories. Neither of them has ever been published. One of them is a guy called Dave from my book Prone to Wander. The other is a guy called Jonathan from my book What You Want. Maybe I'm just too invested in those two characters to have been able to write well, because neither of those books has ever gotten published, but maybe someday people will get to read about them. Who's your least favorite character that you've ever written about? In a way, my least favorite character I've ever written about is one that some of you probably have read. It's Ethel from By the Rivers of Brooklyn. And I feel mean saying that because I actually developed a tremendous affection for Ethel, but I think she's easily the least likable person I've ever used as a major character in a story. She's really twisted and messed up. What's a book you would like to write, but probably never will? I would love to write a novel about ancient Rome starring Mark Antony and his wife Fulvia. I think they're fascinating characters. I think they had a fascinating love affair and eventual marital dissolution. I think it would be great, and I'm really fascinated with Antony and I'm fascinated with Rome, and I would love to do it, but I know I never will because I don't have a strong background in that period in history, and the amount of work it would take to get up to speed, to learn what I would need to learn to write that book, I just don't really think I'm ever going to do it. Sorry. Hope somebody writes it though, because I'd like to read it. What would you do if you had no fear whatsoever? Skydiving. No doubt about it. So there you go. Read the article in the Telegram. You can get the 20 questions that their interviewer asked me, or having watched this video, you now know the 10 questions that I would like to answer if somebody would ask me, and I'll be back again next week.